welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title, we're doing something a little bit different today. I'm basically going to be recommending you books based off people's favourite movies. So very simple, I'll talk about a film that I like and then kind of link this to a book that I've read that I think matches a similar vibe or a similar plot and storyline. I think it's so fun, and also I love finding books that are like movies, because if I like one thing, I'm definitely gonna like the other. Also, if you are new here, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Our family is growing and I cannot be more thankful and grateful to you all that follow along and watch my videos and show love. So the first movie that I want to talk to you guys about is The Vow. Yes, The Vow with Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams. I absolutely love this film. I've seen it God knows how many times, and I just think that anything Channing Tatum is in that is like rom-com based, I eat it up. I want to eat him up. Yeah, he's just so cute, and Rachel McAdams is like an amazing actor, I think. Like, she brings such depth to roles, and if you haven't seen the film, it's basically a story about this couple, like they live together, everything, and our main character, who's played by Rachel McAdams, she gets into a car accident and basically wakes up and remembers everything before her relationship started with Channing Tatum. And imagine if that happened in real life. I do not know how I would go on. But yeah, so she wakes up, has forgotten him, and he has to try and win her back and win her love back. And oh, it's just so sweet. And the book that I would recommend if you liked this film is 10 Dates by Rachel Dove. So I read this about 2 months ago, I would say. It's a nice short read. It's less than 300 pages. And it literally is that film in book form, and I have no idea what book The Vow is based off of, but it should be this one. So with this story, we have like obviously a similar premise. So we've got Callum and Alice as our main characters, and basically before they started dating, Callum was Alice's brother's best friend. So after Alice gets into this accident, she obviously cannot remember her whole relationship with Callum and only sees him as this annoying guy that was friends with her brother and used to tease her when she was younger. And this book was just so wholesome and so cute, and I literally flew through it in like a day. It's probably like the perfect summer read as well if like you're going on holiday. Like it's not too deep, but obviously it tackles that memory loss situation, so there is a depth to the romance, and it was just a really good journey of how they were kind of forming that relationship again and learning to trust each other. It was amazing. Okay, so that is The Vow done. First recommendation complete. And the next one that I want to talk about is The Longest Ride. So if you haven't seen this, it's one of my favorite romance films of all time, along with The Vow. And we're following Chloe Grace Moretz, who is our female lead, and then we have got Scott Eastwood, so that is Clint Eastwood's son. He is so handsome, and oh my word. So she is basically about to graduate from university in America and goes along to this bull riding event one night with her friend and bumps into Scott, who is a professional bull rider, and the chemistry, it hits it off like fireworks. All I'm gonna say about it, it's a great journey. And we're also following another couple. We're basically reading this man's diary, and it's about him and his wife through like the 1950s or something like that. So way back in time, and we're reading their love story and the things that they went through, and it's just one of the best films. If you haven't seen it, please go and watch it. I think it's on Netflix. Yeah, it's so easy to stream. And I was thinking, what kind of book would be similar to this? Because it's one of my favourite films. How can I link it to a book? And then I was like, Sophie, you know exactly what book would link to this. And this is Flawless by Elsie Silver. So in this, the only link really is that our main character, Rhett, in this book is also a bull rider, and it just gave me similar vibes because I love that kind of atmosphere where it's like country living, small town romance. It's just so good, and I recommend the whole of this series, not just this book. So it's the Chestnut Springs series, and there's 5 books in total. I've read them all, have rated them all like 4 stars and above, so as that is a 5-star series for me. So in this book we're following Rhett, who is a bull rider obviously, and he basically kind of has a bad image, like a bit of a playboy, troublemaker. So his agent sets him up with a personal assistant to kind of keep him in check, and this happens to be his agent's daughter, Summer. And obviously feelings get involved, they end up being attracted to each other, and it's just such a fun, easy, summery read. I do love Rhett and Summer. They're probably one of my favourites from the whole Chestnut Spring series, and I think for me, close proximity and like workplace romance tropes are like one of my favourites of all time. So yes, I definitely please recommend reading The Longest Ride and picking up Flawless by Elsie Silver. It's very popular anyway, so I'll be surprised if you haven't read it. Okay, moving on, I'm actually gonna link a book to a TV show now, and you can probably maybe see this coming if you know me, but I'm gonna talk about Gossip Girl. My favourite TV show ever. I have seen it like 7 times now. I watch it every autumn full time, and it just gets me in the mood for Christmas. New York City in the fall with Blair and Serena running the streets. You cannot fault it. It's just so good, and it's probably like my guilty pleasure. Chuck and Blair will forever be my ride or die TV couple. Like, I love them so much, especially Chuck. He is so sweet, and he just does make some terrible decisions. And these terrible decisions made me think about one book in particular, Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. So in this story, it's a similar like star-crossed love, but like Chuck and Blair. However, we're following BJ and Magnolia, who have known each other since they were younger. This book is basically based off a group of like early adult, maybe like late teenager group of kids. They basically come from extremely wealthy families, and they don't need to work. They wear designer everything, and we just kind of follow their lives. There isn't much of a plot. It's more of like a character development story, and I loved it. It was literally like watching a TV show, in my opinion. It just easily transported me. Obviously, unlike Gossip Girl, this is based in London, so we see like the English side of it. And as I was saying, similar to the love story of like Chuck and Blair, Magnolia and BJ, they used to date basically, and we find out in the book of why they split up. However, they still have this weird relationship where they like sleep over at each other's, and they spend as much time as possible together. So you just know that they still love each other. They just keep making stupid decisions. If you don't like miscommunication trope, then I probably don't think you'll like Magnolia and BJ's love story. But I usually don't, but in this book it hit. It just felt real, like especially for this age group. And people make stupid mistakes when they're angry, and it was just so relatable to me anyway. I think it wasn't too outlandish, and I did connect so much with the characters. I was in tears at the end of this book, and this is actually the only one that I've read in the Magnolia Park series by Jessa Hastings, so I cannot wait to pick up the rest of the books at some point, because I'm just kind of dragging it out now because I love this book so much. I want to make the series last as long as I possibly can. Okay, so moving back to a film suggestion now, I want to talk about the one and only Divergent. So this is a dystopian society that I grew up on. I read the books in secondary school, so I was probably like 15 at the time, and I'm 24 now, just to see how old I am. Yeah, I was 14 at the time, and these took over my life. I read the books, the films came out. It was so good. It was up there with Hunger Games for me. And because I never actually read Hunger Games when I was younger, I'm currently reading the series right now, which is crazy to be back in the world because I have seen all the films. But yeah, Divergent held a close part of my heart. And especially Theo James, I think he made the movies for me, and seeing my favourite books come to life just gave me such a nostalgic feeling. Even when I rewatch the films now, I'm like, it just transports me back to that time where life was easy and my biggest issue of the day was who Harry Styles or Theo James was dating. That's how much I loved him. I was such a fangirl growing up, still am, but mainly just for Taylor Swift and Harry now. So yeah, if you haven't seen Divergent, we basically have a world where there are 4 factions or categories that you can go into and live into, and you make the decision. I think maybe when you turn 18, you go and you have to choose. So you can either choose the one where your family is, or you can choose to leave. But obviously if you leave, you cannot have contact with your family any longer. And you basically, in a lot of the factions, have to pass tests to be able to actually get into the group. So it's quite a risk picking somewhere else and then failing the test, because you then end up factionless. So you're basically homeless within the community, and it's so good. like, I'm sure you have watched it because it's quite old now. But the one immediately when I recently read the trilogy that I'm going to talk about, I knew that it just reminded me of Divergent. And on the covers, it actually says, if you like the Hunger Games, this will knock your socks off. But I'd say this is more like Divergent in my opinion. And this is the Legend trilogy by Mary Lou. And I'm like, you're like, Sophie, finally you have read this. And I'm like, yes. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I ended up giving the first book 5 stars, the second 4 stars, and the third 4.5. So this was something that stole my heart once again. I think I do just love a dystopian society. I need something like that in every book. And when I tell you the romance in this book warmed my heart, I was attached to the characters, I cared so deeply about them, and I think that just pushes my rating right up. As soon as a book can make me feel something, I'm like, yep, 100% I need that. So I actually read Legend, the first book, in my previous reading vlog, so definitely go and check that out. So I'll just quickly talk about it now because I don't want to be repetitive on this channel. So we have obviously the dystopian society, we have a split kind of world in America. You've got the Republic and the colonies. So there's no longer states. The Republic took over and overran the country. And then obviously because of this, you have that kind of sign of revolution and uprising from the colonies outside of the Republic. And our 2 main characters, we're following June and then Day. I love Day so much. He's so funny. He is basically famous for being like the biggest criminal within the Republic. They cannot catch him. He just keeps messing with their plans. And then June is basically learning to become a soldier for the Republic. So there's 2 opposite sides, and slowly their timelines come together and we learn a lot more about the world, the lies, everything within the government and Republic, and it's so interesting. I flew through them. They're not too long. They're like 340 to 380 pages per book, and yeah, if you haven't read this and you like Divergent, please pick this up. Okay, so on to our last little recommendation. I don't want to make this video too long, so if you guys are enjoying it, I'd love to do this again with some other books and movies, TV shows. And if you're still here, guys, please leave a comment of the white heart just so I know who the real ones are and who are my biggest supporters. Because I love interacting with you all and just talking about books, so comment as much as you like. So my final recommendation is another TV show. So I think I saw it all. It's quite a long one, and this is Game of Thrones. So you probably heard about this. Obviously, The House of the Dragon is out now and it's very popular. But in Game of Thrones, I can't even explain what it's about. I do recommend going to watch it because it is so good and it is definitely worth the hype. However, we have in this like a multi-POV where we're following a lot of people in different parts of the kingdom, and they're all slowly coming together for like those big war scenes. And this reminded me of one duology that I have read, and this was The Orange of the Priory Tree duology by Samantha Shannon. And obviously the second book is A Day of Fallen Night, which is the prequel to this. Also, why do books do that, where they do a prequel after releasing it? I understand maybe they think of it after, but I'd rather just read this before, you know? But these 2 were both 5 stars for me, and it follows that similar concept of we kind of split the world into north, east, south and west, and we're following different people in those different areas with multiple POVs. And at the start it's very confusing, I will be honest. However, once you know who people are, you get so attached, or at least I did, and the world is amazing. We have good dragons, you've got bad dragons, you've got people trying to kill other people for the thrones, and you've got sabotages within courts. It's just unbelievable, and it was such an epic journey, and I would love to reread them one day because they are thick. They are about 900 pages each, so you definitely need to set aside some time to sit down and definitely give yourself the chance to understand them, because once you do, I think it took me probably around 200 pages, I'm being honest, to understand who was who and where they were and what journey they were on. But yes, it was so good, and if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, dragons, all of the good stuff, then check out this duology by Samantha Shannon. Okay, Bessie, so that is my 5 recommendations of if you like this movie, you will like this book. I hope you have enjoyed. And don't forget, leave the comment of the white heart if you're still here. And comment if you've read any of these or if you like any of the films that I've spoken about, because I would love to know. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.